Cave diving is supposed to be the ultimate adventure, but for 7 explorers, Cueva de los Cristales became their crystal tomb. Since 2000, over 400 cave divers have died worldwide. In Mexico's underwater crystal caves, that number keeps climbing. From a medical student who crawled headfirst into a passage barely wider than his shoulders, never to crawl back out, to Finnish divers who panicked in freezing water 200 feet below ground, their friends forced to leave them behind. From a diver who survived for weeks in total darkness, scratching desperately at mud walls, to a man whose rescue became a death sentence for the hero who tried to save him. But first, the 6 cavers who entered Mosdale Caverns on a clear day and were buried alive by a rainstorm they never saw coming. These weren't freak accidents. These were calculated risks that calculated wrong, and the caves never let them forget it. Coming in at number 7, we have the Mosdale Caverns tragedy. 6 experienced cavers who thought they knew the system. What happened next changed British caving forever. In 1967, 6 young, fit cavers, Dave Adamson, Jeff Boiro, Bill Frakes, John Ogden, Michael Roy Collingridge, and Colin Vickers, ventured into Mosdale Caverns in North Yorkshire, notorious for super strenuous crawling passages. These weren't beginners, they were experienced cavers who respected the underground. The weather forecast showed clear skies, while deep inside the narrow passages, an unpredicted rainstorm hit. Water funneled into the cave entrance like a funnel of death. The narrow passages became death traps. No escape routes, no air pockets. 6 men trapped in passages barely wide enough for their bodies. Rescue teams worked desperately to pump water out, but arrived too late. Bodies were located but deemed impossible to extract through unstable, flooded tunnels. Officials made the decision to seal the cave permanently. The high-level mud caverns were consecrated as a permanent grave. 6 families never got to bury their sons. This remains the deadliest caving accident in British history. The cave entrance still bears a memorial plaque. If you think drowning underground is the worst way to go, stick around because number 6 involves a medical student who made one wrong turn and ended up sealed in concrete forever. At number 6, we have John Edward Jones, a medical student who knew caves inside and out. One mistake cost him everything. In 2009, John Jones was exploring Nutty Putty Cave in Utah, known for tight squeezes but manageable passages. The birth canal squeeze was a famous challenge that cavers talked about. John had done this before. He wasn't some weekend warrior. Jones mistook a tight passage for the birth canal and crawled headfirst into Bob's Push. He got stuck upside down at a 70-degree angle in a space only 10 inches by 18 inches wide. Over 100 rescuers worked for 26 hours straight to free him. They actually set up a pulley system that started pulling him out. The pulley anchor failed in the soft rock, dropping him back into the crevice. John died of cardiac arrest from hanging upside down. Removing his body would require breaking his legs. His family refused. Officials permanently sealed the cave with concrete. John Jones remains entombed in Nutty Putty Cave. The cave entrance is now a concrete monument to one wrong turn. Drop a comment if you've ever been in a tight cave passage. Now imagine number 5, a diver who vanished so completely that world-class rescue teams found absolutely nothing. Number 5 is Ben McDaniel, a diver who wasn't fully certified but was completely obsessed. He went into Vortex Spring and simply vanished. In 2010, Ben McDaniel was obsessed with the underwater caves at Vortex Spring, Florida. He wasn't fully certified for cave diving, but had been diving the system repeatedly. Employees knew him, watched him, saw him testing equipment at 58 feet deep. Ben was seen hovering at the cave entrance, checking his gear one last time. He vanished into the darkness and never came back out. Extensive searches by world-class cave recovery divers turned up nothing. No body, no equipment, no disturbed silt. The deepest, tightest restrictions showed no signs anyone had been there. It's like the cave swallowed him completely. Theories range from staged disappearance to being wedged in an invisible crevice. His family spent thousands of dollars searching. The cave diving community still debates what happened. Officially, he went in and never came out. If you're getting value from this video, hit that subscribe button. It helps the channel more than you know, and I've got more content coming for people who need to understand what really happens when adventure goes wrong. If you think vanishing is terrifying, wait until you hear about number 4, a diver who survived for weeks in total darkness, slowly starving to death. At number 4, we have Peter Verhulsel, an experienced diver who ignored every safety protocol. What happened to him is psychological horror. In 1984, Peter Verhulsel was diving the famous Sterkfontein Caves in South Africa, a fossil site, not a recreational diving location. He decided safety lines and protocols didn't apply to him. The underwater passages were a maze in murky water. Peter became disoriented and ran out of air. He found a small air pocket in a cathedral-like chamber. Instead of dying quickly, he survived for weeks in total darkness. He left scratch marks on the mud banks where he desperately tried to climb out. He slowly starved to death alone, knowing no one was coming. His body was eventually recovered with evidence of his final weeks. The psychological horror of surviving in your own tomb. His scratch marks tell the story of desperation, a reminder that sometimes quick death is mercy. The cave system was restricted after his recovery. That's nightmare fuel, but number 3 shows what happens when friends must choose between saving themselves or dying together. Number 3 is the Plura Cave disaster. 2 Finnish divers, Jari Huotarinen and Jari Uusimäki. Their friends had to watch them die and leave them behind. In 2014, a team of Finnish divers attempted to traverse the freezing Plura system in Norway. These were experienced technical divers. The water temperature was near freezing, visibility limited. They were attempting a challenging but doable traverse. Deep inside the system, Huotarinen panicked and became stuck in a restriction. He died in front of his friends who couldn't help him. Uusimäki also died in the chaos that followed. The surviving team members faced a choice: die trying to help or save themselves. They had to leave their friends' bodies behind. Officials deemed recovery too dangerous and closed the cave. The surviving friends refused to abandon their brothers. They returned in a secret operation weeks later. They successfully retrieved both bodies in an operation documented in Diving into the Unknown. For weeks, 2 friends were consigned to the freezing depths. Friendship and loyalty in the face of death. But number 2 involves a rescue that became a double tragedy. At number 2, we have the Deon Dreyer recovery tragedy, a body that waited 10 years for a hero, the hero who died trying to bring him home. In 1994, Deon Dreyer blacked out and sank to the bottom of Bosmansgat in South Africa. His body remained at 270 meters for 10 years. In 2004, legendary diver David Shaw decided to attempt a world record depth dive to recover Deon's remains. This was beyond technical diving. This was the edge of human capability. Shaw descended to 885 feet and found Deon's skeletal remains. During recovery, Shaw became entangled in the lines attached to Deon's body bag. Shaw died at the bottom of the abyss, tangled with the man he tried to save. The recovery team abandoned both bodies. Days later, as they retrieved equipment, both bodies floated to the surface together. Deon's family finally got closure. Shaw's family lost a hero to an act of compassion. The diving community learned that some recoveries aren't worth the cost. 2 families forever linked by tragedy and heroism. And finally, at number 1, we have Floyd Collins, the man who became the first modern media circus victim, a death that played out in front of thousands. In 1925, Floyd Collins was exploring Sand Cave in Kentucky, looking for a new passage that could become a tourist attraction. This was business. Caves meant money in Kentucky. Floyd was experienced and knew the risks. A rock dislodged and pinned his leg in a narrow crawlway. He was trapped for 14 days while the world watched. Thousands gathered outside. Vendors sold food and souvenirs. Engineers tried digging a rescue shaft while reporters interviewed him through the cave. A cave-in cut off contact just as the rescue shaft was nearly complete. He died of exposure and starvation days before they reached him. His body was initially left in the cave, then removed, displayed in a glass coffin. The body was stolen, recovered, and finally laid to rest properly years later. Floyd Collins became the template for every media circus tragedy that followed. So there you have it. 7 cavers who never came back. From the 6 men entombed in Yorkshire to the media circus that started it all, these weren't accidents waiting to happen. These were experienced people who thought they understood the risks. The caves had other plans. If you've got a caving story, drop it in the comments. I read every one. And if this video helped you understand what happens when adventure goes wrong, hit subscribe. Remember, some places don't give second chances.